Welcome to another Tentmakers episode. In a recent interview that we had with John, we talked about, or he actually discussed the point of how essential it is to actually have your finances on track before you start up a business of your own. Your personal finances be solid before you start something else. And he made some great points about, hey, if you want to invest in the future, a lot of times the only way you're able to do that is if you have finances set aside, or you've been wise with your money to start with. You definitely do not want to over leverage yourself where you have so much debt, everything can come crashing down on you. Now, that doesn't mean it's not a good idea to take some risks at the same time, but you want to be wise about it. And that's what brings me to the scripture that I want to talk about today. And that is in 2 Chronicles 1 verse 10. And I love the example of Solomon when it comes to riches, because he could have, but he didn't ask for it. Check out what 2 Chronicles 1 verse 10 says. Before God, Solomon says, "Give me wisdom and knowledge, that I may lead this people. For who is able to govern this great people of yours?" God said to Solomon, "Since this is your heart's desire, and you have not asked for wealth, possessions, or honor, nor for the death of your enemies, and since you have not asked for a long life, but for wisdom and knowledge to govern my people over whom I have made you king, therefore wisdom and knowledge will be given you. And I will also give you wealth, possessions, and honor, such as no king who was before you ever had, and none after you will have." Remember that the whole heart of being a tent maker is to give more back to God, not to make tons of money. And so when it comes to our personal finances, you've got to be wise with your personal finances and get a lot of advice. Seek input from financial advisors. Another incredible scripture on this topic is Luke 16:11. "So if you have not been trustworthy in handling worldly wealth, who will trust you with true riches?" And then also Proverbs 3:9 through 10. "Honor the Lord with your wealth, with the first fruits of all your crops. Then your barns will be filled to overflowing, and your vats will brim over with new wine." Wow, these are some incredible scriptures that just highlight the importance of seeking wisdom in part, but making sure that we handle our personal finances and our wealth so that we can see even greater kingdom things as well. That the way that we handle what God gives us in a financial stance correlates to what he's going to give us kingdom-wide as well. And if we cannot be wise with our finances, if we don't give first to God, then that's not going to come back around, and he's not going to give us bigger things to handle and to go after in a spiritual sense either. So are you wise with your finances? Let's talk about a couple of key practicals to make sure that you're doing well with what you've been given. Number one is, do you have budgeting and tracking in place for yourself? This is important for your personal finances. In fact, when my wife and I do pre-marriage counseling with young marrieds or people about to get married, we always have an entire session. And I say, bring all your bills. We're going to put them all into an Excel spreadsheet. We're going to go over this whole thing together. And we do, and we put it all down, and we see where they're really at. We see what they're able to spend and what they're able to give, and on different categories and everything. And if you don't know where your money is going, then it's going to disappear from you. And the same is true with your business. If you don't know where your money is going, you aren't going to be able to make informed decisions about where you should shift. Are you spending too much in this category? Do you need to spend more in marketing? Do you need to spend more in sales? How is your profit margin going? If you just look at your bank account at the end of the month, that doesn't tell you enough information about how you're really doing. Are you responsible even with tracking where things go? Last year, for our 4 Airbnbs, we had $1,300 in business expenses. Sorry, not $1,300, 1,300 receipts. I looked at it at the end of the year with our accountant, and boom, we had turned in 1,300 receipts at the end of the year. That's a lot. You need to be responsible in order to turn in 1,300 receipts. One of our favorite programs is called Expensify. We use it, you open it up on your phone, you snap a picture of the receipt, or you can even, if you get your receipts via email, you can forward them to receipts@expensify.com. It auto pops in there. It reads who it's from, what it was, how much it was, and then you need to put exactly what the purpose was and the category and what report it goes in, and then you can turn that in at the end of the month. Boom. And then you can throw that receipt away. You're done with it because you've got a copy of it. And that helps us out a ton. We don't have receipts laying all over the house. I know some people who just have gobs and gobs of receipts who have their own personal businesses. And it's almost like an episode of Hoarders, but for paper receipts. It's terrible. So get something like Expensify, get an app that helps you out. There's a free version for your own personal finances, and it's an incredible thing. Also, you can get something that tracks where everything goes on a personal level. Something like You Need a Budget, YNAB. You Need a Budget. It's an app. It's something that we've suggested using in the past, or you can use other methods like the envelope system, or you can use Excel and create a big spreadsheet and have fun with that every month. Some of my friends I know that do that. But you need to have some way of tracking your finances. And if you don't do it before you start a business, you need to start right now, or if you aren't already, because like I said, 1,300 receipts, you need to be ready. And that's just after year 2 of our business opening. So that's a lot of receipts, and you need to know how to track those things. Another thing is live below your means. This is something that we did, especially early on, where we said, you know what, no matter what, we are going to save $1,000 a month. Whether that means we got to eat beans and rice. And we had a schedule. We said, listen, we can only eat out once a week, or we can only eat out twice a week. And we were strict with it. And we watched what we bought at the grocery store. And those really helped catapult and boost us into the position where we were able to buy our first and our second house and be able to leverage the money that we had in order to move forward. But if we wouldn't have done that, it would have been very difficult for us to purchase a house at all. And so you've got to live below your means. You might be able to buy and afford more, but if you're not saving enough, then how are you going to be able to be responsible in order to scale a business as well? Save for emergencies and future investments. One time we had a house and the AC died. And luckily we had been saving up. And so we had the $5,000 that it cost to replace it the next day. And we were grateful that we had that. You want to have reserves, not just living right on the edge. And then be content with what you have and don't get into excessive materialism. That's a hard one. It's difficult in our day and age not to spend money on what you want, especially here in the States. Everyone tells you, go and buy what you want. You deserve it. You've earned it. You're awesome. And the truth is that those things aren't good for us. And God talks quite a bit about that. So don't get into excessive materialism. Don't buy just because you want. Buy because you need. Same principles with be smart about your investments. Don't get a car right out of college. Don't buy things that are debt. Buy things that are assets. Buy things that will appreciate and that you could sell later on for more money than what you bought it for today. Don't buy things that you could sell for less money than you're getting today. And then seek wise counsel. Just like Solomon went to God, first go to God. Ask for wisdom when it comes to what direction should I go with my business? What should I do with my finances? What should I do in this area or that area? It's really easy to make emotional investment decisions that aren't good. And listening to the hype and social media and everyone around us, some of my worst financial decisions were emotional financial investments. And someone had told me, "Oh man, you gotta get on this thing," and it was cryptocurrency. And honestly, I've done nothing but lose. I think I've lost about $8,000 in cryptocurrency and have about 2,000 left after all the years of investing in crypto. And for me, I know there's some crazy success stories out there, but I talked to a financial advisor once, and he said, at our financial institute, if you own crypto, you won't even get hired to, in this financial firm. It's like gambling is how they see it. So I'm not saying crypto is entirely bad, but I'm saying don't make emotionally charged decisions when it comes to your investment. Seek counsel. Even with the properties that we bought, we called people, we got advice. We said, hey, this is kind of crazy. Does this sound right? Are we thinking the right way? Do these numbers work out? Does all this make sense? We wanted to get wise input. And then avoid the love of money. Money is a tool that we are trying to use to buy back time for God. That's the ultimate goal. We want to get more time to serve God, and money is a way that we can do that if we can automate it and make it as passive as possible, so that in the end of the day, we're spending most of our time serving God and very little time making money in order to do that. So, get it, great input about your finances, some great questions for a discussion here after this video. Do you have someone that's giving you financial advice? Do you have a budgeting software? Do you have a way to quickly and easily record receipts that don't take you hours on end to calculate and add up by hand and create clutter and a mess in your life? So let's take a couple of those pieces. Please get into a discussion group on Zoom. We'll be hosting them, and let's have a great discussion. But let's be wise with what God has given us so that we can do great things for Him in the future. And remember that he who is entrusted with little will be entrusted with much. God bless.